let me begin by telling you what the goods and services tax really is. So the GST is basically an indirect tax that was introduced in India, throughout India, on the 1st of July by the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, and by it replaced 17 cascading taxes, including the central excise duty, the service tax, and the state value-added tax. So, till now, paying taxes voluntarily was considered an act of stupidity, and tax evasion was a normal way of conducting business. However, the economic greatness of a country cannot be built on such weak notions and unethical business practices. So, the first thing that how GST will benefit India will be that it will reduce tax evasion greatly. So the parallel economy that accounts for about 1/5 of our GDP will now be brought into the tax network, and this will yield substantially higher revenues and to governments, and it will make scarce resources available for public spending. Number two, with the implementation of GST, there are three kinds of GSTs that are applicable. First is the central GST, where the revenue is collected by the central government, and number two is the state GST, where the revenue is collected by the state government for intra-state sales, and number three is the IGST or the inter-GST, where the revenue is collected by the central government for interstate sales. Now the goal is to streamline the collection of these taxes and get them under one taxation regime instead of levying multiple taxes on different stages. This will greatly reduce the complexity of the taxation system and make it convenient for the government for the collection of taxes. Now number three, GST has made a total of 66 goods cheaper, including soaps, detergents, domestic LPG, pens, notebooks, school bags, exercise books, insulin, medicines for cancer and diabetes, dairy products, wheat, rice, flour, oil, sugar, fruits and vegetables. And here we notice that these are mostly goods of necessities. The government has tried to lower the tax rates on these necessities and impose higher taxes on luxuries, the industries of which thrive on profits at the expense of the common man. Now, moving on, all food and non-food items consumed by the poor have been put under the 0% and the 5% tax slab, and in this way the poor have been completely insulated from any adverse effects of GST. My last point is that GST will be a big boon for farmers, as all essential agricultural commodities have been placed in the 0% tax bracket. By waiving these taxes on agricultural commodities, the government has passed the estimated benefit of over rupees 2 lakh crores to farmers and consumers over a 5-year period. Thus, we see that despite its complexities, the goods and services tax has come more as a boon than a bane for the Indian economy, and in this way, it will definitely make way for a booming economy. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Muskan Malhotra, and as Fiza has already announced, we were given the motion, GST will make way for a booming economy, and I was against the motion. So I'll be dividing my debates into points so that each and every point is sufficiently lucid. My first constructive talked about booming economy. Now, in economics, a boom period is defined as in the trade cycle as the period where the employment and output are at the level highest in an economy. So what we understand from this is that employment and output are a prerequisite for a booming economy. Thus, how does GST affect both employment and output? As far as output is concerned, what GST has done is that it has increased the cost of raw material. How it has already increased the cost of raw material, as well as brought those raw materials which were not under the ambit of the tax regime before, under the ambit, for example, cloth. And even though that has increased the accountability, however, it has affected output as a negative catalyst. What it has done is that it has increased the cost of production, thus it has increased the price of the product for the supplier and decreasing their profit margin. Thus, when the profit margin of the supplier decreases, they have to decrease their output. Thus, ladies and gentlemen, supply in the market has reduced. Overall availability of goods in the market has reduced. What has this led to is a decrease in the output. Thus, what we observe is that GST has acted as a negative catalyst to output rather than a positive. Now, coming to employment, GST has certainly had no considerable impact on the employment of the nation. Thus, what we conclude from this is that employment and output, which are the prerequisites for a booming economy, are not being satisfied by the implementation of GST. And thus, what we observe is that if GST does not fulfill the prerequisites, how can it lead to a booming economy at the end of the day? Now, coming to the second constructive, one of the very main important factors of a booming economy is that both the consumer and the producer are equally happy with the environment around them. However, what we observe over here is a conflict of interest. GST was definitely a boon and a bane both for the consumer and the producer. However, what was a boon for the consumer was a bane for the producer. How? Ladies and gentlemen, GST reduced the price of a few necessity items, which was thus a boon for the consumer. However, that same reduction in price of those goods which accounted for the maximum sales turnover of the producer reduced, and thus in the longer run the producer's sales turnover reduces. Thus we see that what is a boon for the producer or for the consumer was a bane for the producer, and thus a conflict of interest over here. The third constructive was about the infrastructure of the nation and how GST is not suitable for the infrastructure of the nation. For example, we were given a GST identification number. Every firm was given a GST identification number that was renewed after every half an hour. So what happened was that this GST identification number had to be saved in an online portal, and thus this online portal would help you register your firm under the ambit of the tax regime. However, so what happened at my personal home was that we tried saving this identification number on the online portal for 3 days. However, it was simply not ready to be accepted. And thus, this was not just the story of my home, and I'm sure it was the story of every village where people are not even aware as to how to feed the number in an online and do not even have the services to avail to understand what exactly GST means. And thus, ladies and gentlemen, what we observe from this is that GST failed in the very implementation and the very incipient stage of it, and expecting it to lead to a booming economy is still a far-fetched dream. Thank you. We will accept questions if any. Any questions at all? I don't expect the junior school to come up with a lot of questions, considering that it was a very economical based topic, but however the senior school, whatever I just said was from our economics book. Thank you then.